The Galactic Council chamber was built to inspire awe. A hall of glass and crystal stretched above the delegates, each seat carved with symbols of power. Normally, this place was filled with calm debate and cold arguments over trade or borders. But today, the chamber trembled with fear. Dozens of alien voices overlapped, a storm of panic. The signal is confirmed. It cannot be real. No one builds ships that large anymore. Where did it come from? Who dares break the peace? At the center, the council's speaker raised his staff, slamming it against the floor. The sound echoed through the chamber, silencing the crowd. Delegates, the speaker said, his scaled skin glimmering under the lights. You have seen the scans. A vessel has emerged from the unclaimed sector of space. It is enormous. Holograms flickered above the chamber, showing a blurry outline of a ship. It was shaped like a dagger, its hull black as night, larger than entire fleets. Its energy readings were off the charts. The delegates muttered nervously, "It must be a draconian weapon." No, the draconians swore off such construction centuries ago. Then perhaps it is an ancient relic. One thin, bird-like delegate leaned forward, his feathers bristled. No, look closer. The drive signatures. The hull patterns, they are human. The chamber fell silent. The word carried weight. Human. Humans were a young species by galactic standards. They had joined the Council only 2 centuries ago, loud and unrefined. Many alien races mocked them as reckless, violent, unpredictable. Deathworlders, yes, but still small, still weak. Yet the hologram showed otherwise. This is impossible, a reptilian delegate hissed. Humans cannot build such vessels. Their industry is small, their fleets minor. This ship, this monster, it dwarfs even the Grand Armada. Another alien slammed his claws against the table. Then how do you explain this? If they built one, how many more are hidden? The speaker turned to the Council's chief analyst, a pale insectoid whose eyes clicked nervously. Report, the analysts. Mandibles clattered. Our scans confirm the vessel's size exceeds 25 kilometers in length. Its energy output matches that of a small star. Its weapons, unknown. It has not yet fired. The chamber erupted again. Why has it not fired? Perhaps it is broken. Perhaps it waits to test us. One elder delegate, older than most, whispered through trembling lips. There were stories, long ago, that humans spoke of building ships they called battleships, floating fortresses. We laughed then, and now. Another asked. The elder's eyes narrowed. Now we are not laughing. In the corner of the chamber, a smaller alien, the representative of a minor trade world, spoke nervously. What if it is not alone? What if this is only the first? The thought hung in the air like poison. The speaker raised his staff again. We must remain calm. We must contact the vessel, demand explanation. Perhaps this is a misunderstanding, but... Before he could continue, the hologram shifted. A new transmission had arrived. The chamber went dark. A single image filled the air. The black ship, clear this time. Its hull was scarred, yet strong. Weapons lined its sides like the teeth of a predator. And then a voice came through. It was human, deep, steady, and cold. To the Galactic Council, the voice said, "We are here now. Nothing more. No threats, no promises. Just a declaration." The silence that followed was worse than any explosion. The delegates stared at each other, fear spreading through the chamber. What does that mean? We are here now. Is that a warning? A declaration of war? Or a reminder. The bird-like delegate shook his head. It means humanity has arrived, and nothing will be the same again. The speaker forced his voice to remain calm. We will convene emergency councils. All fleets are to be placed on high alert. Until we know their intent, we must treat this battleship as hostile. But the whispers continued, spreading like cracks through glass. What if it cannot be stopped? What if our fleets are useless? What if this is only the beginning? The word battleship repeated again and again, as if the very sound of it carried doomed up above the chamber. The hologram zoomed out. The human battleship floated calmly at the edge of the system, unmoving, its weapons silent. Yet its presence alone was enough to shake the galaxy's most powerful rulers, and deep in their hearts, every delegate felt the same unspoken truth. The Council's worst nightmare had arrived. The council chamber was quieter now, but the silence was heavy, like a storm waiting to break. The hologram of the massive ship still hovered above them, casting shadows across the polished crystal walls. The speaker leaned forward, his scaled hands gripping the edge of his desk. We must discuss history. This ship is no accident. Someone knew this was coming. At his gesture, the council historian, an elder with grey fur and tired eyes, stepped forward. His voice was low, trembling with age, but it carried weight. Generations ago, when humans first entered our council, the historian began, they were dismissed. Many here mocked them for their violence, their chaos. But I remember, some warned us. They said, do not laugh at Earth. Do not push them. If they ever build ships for war, the galaxy will tremble. The chamber stirred. Delegates shifted uncomfortably. The bird-like delegate from the Avery spread his wings. Empty threats. At the time, humans barely had cruisers, let alone dreadnoughts. The historian's eyes darkened. And yet, what do you see before you now? The hologram loomed above them, its black hull gleaming. Meanwhile, in the outer sectors of the galaxy, whispers spread. Traders sent panicked reports. A human warship has appeared. Pirate bands avoided the region entirely, too afraid to even approach. Entire colonies went silent, waiting to see what would happen. Inside the council chamber, panic was turning into fear-filled strategy. We must send fleets. One delegate shouted, show them we are not afraid. No, another hissed. If we strike first, it will be war. Do you want to test that thing's guns? The speaker struck his staff against the floor. Enough, no fleets. Not yet. We must know their intent. The insectoid analyst stepped forward again, his voice clicking nervously. We attempted to scan deeper into their systems, but the ship resists. Its shields block everything. We cannot see inside. But there is no doubt it is crude, and it is awake. The words sent a chill through the chamber. On the far side of the chamber, a delegate from the Draconian Empire rose slowly. His scales shimmered red under the light, his voice deep and rumbling. You are all fools, he growled. This is not a sign of power. It is a bluff. Humans were always reckless. They have likely poured all they have into one ship. Strike it down, and Earth will crawl back into its hole. Some nodded at his words. Others looked horrified at his confidence. The historian shook his head. One ship, perhaps. But can you be certain it is only one? Humans never reveal all their strength at once. The debate raged on. Some demanded war, others begged for caution. But through it all, the hologram of the ship hung silently, as if listening. Then, without warning, A new signal came through. The chamber went dark again. The hologram flickered, then cleared. This time, it was not the ship they saw. It was a human. The figure stood on the bridge of the battleship. A man with sharp features, clad in dark uniform, his eyes steady and cold. Behind him, alien delegates could see the massive steel walls, humming consoles, and officers moving like shadows. He spoke, slowly, clearly. "Council of Worlds, you said humanity was not ready. You said we were reckless, weak, unworthy of the stars. But we did not wait for your approval. While you debated, we built. While you mocked, we prepared. And now, here we are." The chamber was frozen in silence. The human leaned forward slightly. "We ask only one thing, respect. Deny it again, and you will understand what a Death Worlder fleet truly means." The transmission cut. The delegates exploded into panic. They threaten us openly. This is war. No, this is a warning. A chance to avoid war. The speaker raised his staff again. Silence. But even he looked shaken. The historian spoke once more, his voice heavy. "I warned you," they warned. "Us, humanity does not bluff. They endure. They survive. And when they say they are ready, they are." The draconian delegate snarled. "Respect. They demand respect at the edge of a cannon. If we bend now, they will rule us all." The bird-like Avery delegate whispered, almost to herself. Or, perhaps, they already do. In the outer chamber, aides whispered to one another. Messages poured in from the galaxy's edges. Colonies, fleets, and trade hubs all sent the same desperate question. What does the Council intend to do about the human battleship? The speaker stood tall, forcing strength into his voice. "We will send an envoy. We will speak to them. This council does not bend to threats." But as the delegates argued, as panic grew, the truth was clear to all of them. This was no longer about one ship. It was about the shadow of a future where humanity no longer asked for permission. The first strike for 2 long days. The human battleship hung in silence at the edge of the system. It neither advanced nor retreated. It simply waited, dark against the stars, like a predator in the shadows. Inside the council chamber, panic had turned into exhaustion. The delegates shouted themselves hoarse, arguing without resolution. "We must send fleets. No, if we fire, it will destroy us all. We cannot do nothing. The galaxy is watching." Finally, the speaker raised his staff. "Enough. If humanity wishes respect, let us test their resolve. We will send a fleet not to attack, but to watch. If this ship is truly as powerful as they claim, we will see." Hours later, a fleet of 50 warships departed the nearest system. Their hulls gleamed with banners of the Council. They were not the galaxy's greatest force, but still strong enough to challenge any pirate or rogue empire. The alien commanders whispered among themselves, "It is only one ship. They cannot stand against 50. This will end quickly." But as their fleet approached the black battleship, the laughter in their voices faded. On the human bridge, Captain Darius Kane stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His officers moved silently around him, their faces calm. "Enemy fleet approaching," the censor officer reported. 50 ships, weapons active." Kane gave a slow nod. "Bring the main batteries online." The crew obeyed without hesitation. Lights flickered across the massive hull. Panels opened, revealing weapons the aliens had never imagined: cannons the size of city towers, launch bays bristling with missiles, railguns humming with raw power. The ship awoke in the council chamber. A live feed streamed the event. Delegates leaned forward, eyes wide with fear. The alien fleet spread out, surrounding the human ship. Their commanders broadcast a warning. This is the council fleet. Power down and submit to inspection. For a long moment, the human battleship gave no reply. Then a voice came through, calm and cold. Inspection denied. The alien fleet fired first. Beams of light and torrents of plasma streaked toward the human vessel, filling space with deadly fire. Explosions rippled across the void. When the light cleared, the human ship remained untouched. Its shields had absorbed everything. Gasps filled the council chamber. On the battleship, Captain Kane spoke softly. "Return fire." The first volley tore through the void. Railguns fired with the force of mountains, shells moving faster than sound could travel. Entire alien cruisers were ripped apart in seconds, their shields shredded like paper. Missiles followed, weaving through defenses with deadly precision. Each impact blossomed into a sun, erasing ships from existence. Within minutes, 20 of the 50 ships were gone. The rest scattered, trying desperately to retreat. "Do not pursue," Kane ordered. His voice was calm, almost bored. "Let them run. Let them tell the story." The battleship powered down its weapons, drifting silently once more. The council chamber was chaos. Impossible. 50 ships erased. This is no warship. This is apocalypse. The draconian delegate slammed his claws on the table. This cannot stand. If humans can build such ships, they will rule the galaxy. The historian shook his head slowly. They will not rule. They will endure. That is their nature. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the message spread faster than light. Traders, colonies, and governments all heard the same terrifying words. A single human battleship destroyed half a fleet in minutes. Some alien empires began quietly recalling their ambassadors. Others started drawing up surrender terms before war even began. Back on the human battleship, Captain Kane stood alone in his ready room. His eyes were fixed on a map of the galaxy, glowing with countless stars. "They will fear us now," he murmured. "Good, let them. But fear is not enough. They must never again think humans weak." He turned as a young officer entered. "Captain, message from Earth. They want to know if the demonstration succeeded." Kane gave a rare smile. "Tell them the Council understands now, and tell them this was only the beginning." In the council chamber, as arguments raged, the speaker whispered to himself, too quietly for others to hear. This was their first strike, and we may not survive their second. The council's desperation. The council chamber was chaos. Delegates shouted over one another, their voices rising like a storm. The holograms replayed the same scene on endless loop, a human battleship tearing through 50 ships in minutes. "This cannot be real," one delegate cried. "A trick, a weapon stolen from an ancient race," shouted another. 50 ships destroyed, whispered a third, trembling. "What hope do we have if there are more?" The speaker slammed his staff on the floor, but this time silence did not follow. Panic had broken the chamber's order. Finally, the elder historian rose, his voice carrying weight. "The proof is before you. Humans have built what we thought impossible. You mocked them, you dismissed them, and now their battleship floats. At our gates, do you not understand? The galaxy has changed." The draconian delegate snarled, his red scales rippling with fury. Changed. No, this is war. If we unite the fleets of every empire, we can crush them before they spread. The bird-like Avery delegate shook her head. You saw what one ship did to 50. Do you dare test them with hundreds? The chamber fell into uneasy silence. Meanwhile, outside the chamber, news of the massacre spread like wildfire. Colonies whispered in fear, asking if humanity would come for them next. Entire systems sent desperate messages to the Council, demanding answers. And in the shadows, spies reported chilling news. The human battleship was not alone. Hidden signals hinted at other vessels, waiting. Inside the Council's war chamber, military leaders gathered. Holographic maps showed fleets, shipyards, and defense lines. But every plan ended the same way: failure. Our shields cannot withstand their weapons, one general admitted. Our missiles cannot pierce their armor, said another. Our numbers mean nothing if they build more ships, a third whispered. For the first time in centuries, the Council's generals had no strategy. Then the transmission came. The chamber darkened, and the human captain appeared again. Captain Darius Kane, standing tall on the bridge of the battleship. His voice was calm, but every word struck like a blade. Council of Worlds, you have seen our strength. You know your fleets cannot stop us, but we did not come for war. We came for respect. The delegates leaned forward, listening. Humanity demands recognition. Our colonies will no longer be controlled by your laws. Our fleets will no longer bow to your orders. Earth is sovereign, and its children stand united. Accept this, and there will be peace. Deny it, and you will know extinction. The message ended. The chamber erupted again. Extortion, blackmail. They demand sovereignty at cannon point. The speaker's voice shook as he tried to calm them. If we surrender, we give them power over us all. The Avery delegate whispered softly, almost to herself. And if we refuse, we give them war. And war we cannot win. In a private meeting after the session, the historian met with the speaker. You cannot fight them, the old alien said. Your fleets will burn. Your colonies will fall. I saw this coming decades ago, but no one listened. The speaker's scaled hands trembled. Then what do we do? The historian's eyes narrowed. We survive. We bend before they break us. The speaker looked away, unable to answer. In the Council's intelligence office, agents scrambled to uncover humanity's secret. They traced energy signatures, analyzed data, searched for hidden shipyards, and then one terrified agent whispered, "We've found something." The hologram shifted, showing a barren sector of space. Dead stars, frozen worlds. No one had entered it for centuries. But deep within, faint signals pulsed. The agent's voice trembled. They built their shipyards, massive shipyards. The battleship we saw is not their only one. It is their first. The generals stared in horror. Back aboard the human battleship, Captain Kane received word from Earth. The message was short, but clear. Hold position. Let them sweat. The Council must be the one to bend first. Kane allowed himself a thin smile. He turned to his crew. They are scrambling now. Good. Let them argue. Let them fear. Soon, they will have no choice but to yield. Back in the Council chamber, the speaker's voice cracked as he addressed the delegates once more. Prepare your fleets. Prepare your defenses. But above all, prepare your people. For humanity has given us an ultimatum and the galaxy stands. At the edge of war, the chamber was silent. Every delegate knew the truth. The Council was not preparing for victory. They were preparing to survive. The human judgment, the galaxy held its breath. Every world, every colony, every fleet waited for the Council's decision. Would they bow to humanity's demand or risk war? In the Council chamber, the delegates looked tired and broken. Their voices were no longer full of arrogance or laughter, only fear. "We cannot surrender," one whispered. "If we yield, we lose our power." "We cannot fight," another answered. "If we fight, we lose everything." The speaker's scaled hands shook as he spoke. "Then we must gamble. We will gather the Grand Fleet, the largest in history. Every empire will send its ships. If we fall together." Weeks later, the stars burned with engines. Thousands of ships gathered at the edge of Council, space cruisers, carriers, dreadnoughts. Never had so many banners flown together. Delegates called it the shield of the galaxy, but to the common people it was something else. A last hope. On the bridge of the human battleship, Captain Darius Kane watched the reports come in. His officers looked to him nervously. "Sir, their fleet is massive," one said. "Thousands of ships. They outnumber us 100 to 1. Kane's voice was calm. "Numbers don't matter. They never have. Send the signal." The comms officer nodded, transmitting a coded message into the void. Moments later, space itself seemed to ripple. Dozens of shapes emerged from the dark. More battleships, black and scarred, each one as massive as the first. Their hulls glowed faintly as power surged through them. The crew of Kane's ship smiled grimly. "Human fleet online," the officer reported. 20 ships, standing by. In the Council chamber, panic exploded as new scans came in. "Impossible. They have 20 of them. 20 battleships against our thousands." The historian's old voice shook. "And yet, I fear 20 will be enough." At the edge of space, the Grand Fleet advanced, its ships forming a wall of firepower. Commanders barked orders, promising victory. "They cannot face us all." But the human battleships moved like predators. Their railguns fired in perfect rhythm, tearing through entire squadrons with each volley. Missiles screamed across the void, finding their marks with unerring precision. One by one, Council ships vanished in fire. On Kane's bridge, reports came fast. Enemy dreadnought destroyed. Carrier group eliminated. Resistance collapsing in Sector 3. Kane's eyes remained cold. "Keep pressure. No mercy until they understand." The battle raged for hours. Council fleets fought desperately, throwing everything they had, but against the human battleships, their strength crumbled. A draconian warlord, commanding one of the largest ships, roared into the comms. "You cannot rule us, Deathwelders. We will never bow." Kane answered without emotion. "You already have." His battleship fired, and the warlord's ship vanished in a blaze. Finally, silence fell. The Grand Fleet, the pride of the galaxy, was gone. Wreckage drifted across the stars, glowing like dying embers. Only the human fleet remained untouched, their black holes gleaming. Back in the Council chamber, delegates sat in stunned silence. No one dared to speak. No one dared to move. Then a signal arrived. The chamber darkened, and Captain Kane appeared once more. His voice was steady, final. "The war is over before it began. Humanity does not seek to rule your worlds, but you will. Never again dismiss us. Earth is sovereign. Our fleets are untouchable. Respect a sore fall." He paused, his eyes narrowing. "This is not conquest. This is judgment. and you have been judged. The transmission ended. The speaker collapsed back into his seat, his scaled face pale. "It is done," he whispered. "We bore, we burn." The historian's tired eyes closed. And so the galaxy learns what I always knew. Humanity is not the Council's child. They are the Council's nightmare. Across the stars, the news spread. Worlds whispered of the day of judgment, when the Grand Fleet was destroyed and humanity stood supreme. Some feared, some respected, but all remembered. And far from the Council's reach, in the secret shipyards of Earth, new battleships continued to awaken, their engines rumbling like thunder, ready for the future.